If someone knocks on your door at exactly 12:03 a.m., don't answer it. I didn't believe in superstitions. Not until the night I moved into the old house on Willow Creek Road. My name is Daniel Harper. I had just relocated to a quiet town in northern Ohio after accepting a remote IT job. I wanted peace, silence, a fresh start after my divorce. The house I rented was cheap, suspiciously cheap, but I wasn't in a position to be picky. The landlord, Mr. Craven, was a thin man in his late 60s with pale blue eyes that never seemed to blink enough. "There's just one rule," he told me while handing over the keys. I smiled. "No loud music." He didn't smile back. "Never open the door after midnight, no matter who knocks." I laughed, thinking it was a joke meant to scare the new tenant. But he didn't laugh. "You'll hear it," he continued quietly. "3 knocks. Always 3. Don't answer." "Is this some kind of neighborhood prank?" I asked. He looked toward the woods behind the house. "If you value your life, Mr. Harper, ignore it." I should have taken that more seriously. The house itself was old but sturdy. Wooden floors creaked like tired bones. The walls carried a faint smell of dampness and something metallic I couldn't quite place. Behind the house stretched a dense forest. No neighboring houses, no streetlights. The first 2 nights were peaceful. On the 3rd night, I woke up at exactly 12:03 a.m. I didn't know why. My eyes just snapped open. The room was pitch black except for the faint glow of the digital clock beside my bed. 12:03 a.m. That's when I heard it. Knock. I froze. Maybe I imagined it. Then again. Knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the front door. My heart began pounding. I checked my phone. No notifications. No calls. Who would visit at this hour? Probably teenagers trying to mess with the new guy. I slid out of bed and walked toward the hallway. The knocks came again. Knock, knock, knock. This time louder. "Who's there?" I called out. Silence. I stepped closer to the door. The porch light was off. I distinctly remembered turning it on before sleeping. I reached for the handle. Then I remembered Mr. Craven's words. "Never open the door after midnight." I hesitated. "Hello." I tried again. And then, a voice answered. Soft, almost whispering. "Daniel." My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone in town my first name except Mr. Craven. "Daniel, please open the door." It was a woman's voice. Trembling, like she had been crying. I swallowed. "Who are you?" "I'm cold," she said. "Please." The voice sounded so real. So desperate. I moved toward the peephole. The porch was empty. But the knocking came again. This time, from directly in front of my face. 3 knocks. Not on the wood, on the other side of the door. As if someone stood inches away. "Daniel," she whispered again, closer now. "Let me in." I felt my hand slowly turning the knob. I don't know why. It was like my body wasn't fully mine. The air around me grew heavy. The hallway lights flickered. Just as I began to unlock it, my phone rang loudly in my pocket. I jumped back. Unknown number. The knocking stopped instantly. My hands were shaking as I answered. "Hello." Silence for 2 seconds. Then Mr. Craven's voice. "Don't open it." My stomach dropped. "How did you?" "It's 12:03, isn't it?" He interrupted. "Yes," I whispered. "Whatever you hear, it isn't human." I glanced at the door. No sound now. Just silence. "I heard her," I said slowly. "She knows my name." A pause. "It learns quickly." My throat tightened. "What is it?" "I'll explain tomorrow," he said. "But listen carefully. It can't come in unless you invite it." The line went dead. I stood there for several minutes, staring at the door. Nothing else happened that night. But I didn't sleep again. The next morning, I drove straight to Mr. Craven's house. He lived 10 minutes away in a smaller, even older cabin. He opened the door before I could knock. "You heard it," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," I replied. A woman's voice. He nodded grimly, as if confirming something he already knew. "Come inside." The interior of his house was cluttered with old books, newspapers, and what looked like newspaper clippings pinned to the walls. Missing persons. At least a dozen. All from the past 15 years. All residents of Willow Creek Road. My chest tightened. You're telling me everyone who lived in that house disappeared? He didn't look at me. Everyone who opened the door. A cold chill ran through my body. What exactly am I dealing with? Mr. Craven poured 2 cups of black coffee and sat down slowly. 20 years ago, he began, a woman named Eleanor Graves lived in that house with her daughter. He pointed to a faded photograph pinned on the wall. A pale woman with hollow eyes. She was accused of witchcraft by the locals. Ridiculous nonsense, of course. But one winter night, the town turned against her. My pulse quickened. They came at midnight, he continued. Knocked on her door 3 times. I felt my stomach twist. She refused to open it. What happened? They burned the house down. I blinked. But the house is still standing. He looked at me carefully. That's the strange part. I stared at him. The fire department reported that the house burned to its foundation. Nothing left but ash. But 2 weeks later, he whispered, the house was there again. My mouth went dry. Rebuilt. No. Exactly the same. Same wood. Same cracks. Same stain on the porch. I felt the room spinning. And Eleanor? I asked. He didn't answer right away. She was never found. Silence filled the cabin. I suddenly remembered the metallic smell in my hallway. Why rent it out? I demanded. Why not destroy it? He gave a sad, almost broken smile. We've tried. That night, I didn't go back home. I stayed in a motel on the highway. No knocking. No whispers. I thought maybe distance mattered. The next morning, I returned to the house cautiously. Everything seemed normal, but something was different. The front door. There were 3 faint handprints on it. From the outside, burn marks. Black and charred, as if someone with burned skin had pressed their hands against it. I felt bile rising in my throat. I packed a bag immediately. I wasn't staying another night. As I dragged my suitcase toward the door. Knock. I froze. I looked at my watch. 3:17 p.m. Daylight streamed through the windows. Not midnight, I whispered to myself. Another knock. 3 times. Slow. Deliberate. I backed away from the door. Daniel. The voice came again. Clearer now. Not weak. Not trembling. Smiling. You left last night. My breathing became shallow. I waited. The doorknob began to rattle violently. Not gently. Aggressively. You almost opened it. The wood started cracking slightly near the frame. I can come in now. My heart stopped. What? I whispered. You spoke to me. I remembered. I asked who you were. The voice chuckled. You acknowledged me. The lights flickered. Shadows along the walls began stretching unnaturally long. You don't have to open the door anymore. The wood of the door began turning black, like it was burning from the inside. I stumbled backward. No, I said. You invited me when you answered. The door exploded inward with a deafening crack. But there was nothing there. No body. No woman. Just darkness. And from that darkness, 3 slow footsteps. Inside the house. Coming toward me. I ran. I don't remember grabbing my keys. I don't remember locking the door. I just remember driving without looking back. In my rearview mirror, for a split second, I saw her standing in the upstairs window. Skin charred black, eyes glowing faintly white, smiling. That was 3 days ago. I haven't returned. I'm writing this from a motel in another state. But last night, at exactly 12:03 a.m., there was a knock on my motel door. 3 times. And a soft whisper. Daniel, you can't outrun a house. I didn't open the motel door. Not at 12:03 a.m. Not when the 3 knocks came again. Not when the whisper slid under the crack like smoke. Daniel, I found you. I sat on the edge of the stiff motel bed, staring at the door as if it might breathe. The chain lock trembled slightly. 3 slow scratches dragged across the wood. Not knocking this time, scratching, like something testing the surface. I forced myself not to speak. Not a word. Mr. Craven's warning echoed in my head. It can't come in unless you invite it. But something had changed. Because this time, it didn't sound desperate. It sounded patient. The scratching stopped. Then silence. 5 minutes passed. 10. I didn't sleep. At 12:17 a.m., the bathroom light flicked on by itself. I froze. The switch was inside the bathroom. The door was closed. I hadn't moved. The light under the door glowed harsh white. Then the whisper came again. From inside the bathroom. "Daniel. You shouldn't have left." My chest tightened. That was impossible. The knocks had been at the front door. Slowly, the bathroom doorknob began to turn. Once. Twice. The door creaked open. The light flickered. I couldn't see inside from where I sat. But I heard breathing. Not normal breathing. Wet. Crackling. Like air passing through burned lungs. I grabbed the bedside lamp and hurled it toward the bathroom. The bulb shattered. The light went out. Darkness swallowed the room. The breathing stopped instantly. Complete silence. I scrambled for the main light switch and flipped it on. The room was empty. Bathroom empty. Nothing. But on the mirror, 3 black handprints. Burned into the glass from the inside. Dash dash dash. By morning, I checked out of the motel. The manager looked at me strangely. "Rough night?" he asked. "You didn't hear anything?" I demanded. He frowned. "Hear what?" "Knocking. Scratching." He shook his head. "Sir, no one stayed in the room next to you. And the hallway camera shows no one at your door." My stomach dropped. "Can I see it?" He hesitated but eventually replayed the footage. 12:02 a.m. I was visible inside my room through the small gap in the curtain. At 12:03 a.m. the camera glitched. Static. For exactly 1 minute. At 12:04 a.m. it returned to normal. No one outside my door. No movement. Nothing. But when the static cleared, there was something new. 3 dark marks appeared on the outside of my door. As if burned there. From the inside out. Dash dash dash. I called Mr. Craven again. This time, he answered immediately. "You left the property," he said. "Yes." A long pause. "That won't stop it now." My blood ran cold. "You said it was tied to the house." "It was." He exhaled slowly. "You spoke to it. You gave it recognition." "I just asked who it was." "That's enough." I felt anger rising through the fear. "Then tell me what it really is." Silence. Then quietly. "It's not Eleanor." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" The town blamed her for something they didn't understand. "But the fire wasn't meant to kill her." My pulse quickened. It was meant to trap what was already inside. The room suddenly felt too small. What was inside? Craven's voice lowered. Something older than the house. Older than the town. Dash dash dash. He told me the full story. Before Eleanor lived there, the land belonged to a logging family in the 1800s. One winter, the entire family disappeared. Neighbors reported hearing knocking from inside the forest at night. Always 3 knocks. When search parties went looking, they found the cabin door open. No bodies. No blood. Just 3 burn marks on the door. Years later, Eleanor bought the land cheaply. She claimed the house. Spoke to her. Said it was lonely. People thought she was mad. Until children started going missing. The townsfolk assumed it was her. So they came with fire. But according to Craven, the fire didn't stop it. It fed it. Dash dash dash. "Why me?" I whispered. "It doesn't choose randomly," Craven replied. "It chooses people who feel alone." The words hit harder than I expected. "You moved there after a divorce," he continued. "No family nearby. No friends in town." I clenched my jaw. "It feeds on isolation," he said. "It wants permission, connection, an invitation. And if I never open the door again." Another long silence. "It won't need a door." Dash dash dash. That night, I drove to a crowded city 2 states away. I checked into a high-rise hotel. Cameras everywhere. Noise. People. Safety in numbers. I stayed awake. Lights on. TV loud. 12:03 a.m. Nothing happened. 12:04. Nothing. I almost laughed from relief. Maybe Craven was wrong. Maybe distance and noise mattered. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. It rang again. And again. Finally, I turned it off completely. The room felt still. Too still. The TV suddenly cut to static. The volume increased on its own. Through the static. 3 knocks. Not on a door. On the inside of the screen. My heart slammed against my ribs. The image flickered. And for half a second, I saw her. Not charred this time. Not burned. Just pale. Eyes hollow. Standing in what looked like my old living room. She tilted her head slowly. Then she smiled. The TV went black. Behind me, 3 knocks. On the hotel room wall. From the other side, a man's voice yelled, "Keep it down." My throat tightened. He could hear it too. The knocks came again, louder. The wall began to crack slightly near the center. Then, a hand pressed outward from inside the wall. The drywall bulged, blackened fingers pushing through like something trying to be born. The man in the next room screamed. The lights in my room burst. Darkness. Chaos in the hallway. People shouting. Alarms going off. I stumbled toward the door and flung it open. The hallway was filled with smoke. Not fire smoke. Dark, thick, moving like it was alive. I heard the man next door banging on his own door from inside. "Help me, it's in here." 3 knocks sounded from inside his room. Then silence. Complete silence. The smoke vanished instantly. The hallway lights returned. Hotel staff rushed in. They forced open the man's door. His room was empty. Bed unmade. TV on. Wallet on the table. No sign of struggle. No body. Just 3 burned handprints on the inside of his door. The staff stared in confusion. I felt the horror settle into my bones. It wasn't just following me. It was escalating. At 3 a.m., I received a text. Unknown number. A picture attachment. I hesitated before opening it. It was my house on Willow Creek Road. Taken from inside, looking out, at the front door, and on the door, 3 fresh knocks forming from the inside. Caption beneath the image, "You left the door open." My blood turned to ice. I distinctly remembered locking it. Then I realized, something worse. The picture wasn't recent. It was daytime, bright sunlight outside, which meant, something was in the house right now, waiting for someone else to knock. I don't know what it wants fully. But I know this, it doesn't just wait at doors anymore. It moves through recognition, through fear, through acknowledgement. And tonight, as I sit in a crowded diner surrounded by strangers, the waitress just leaned in close and whispered softly in my ear, "Daniel, you still haven't invited me properly." I didn't respond. I didn't even breathe, because her hand, resting on the table, was blackened, burned, and she tapped 3 slow knocks on the surface. I didn't react when the waitress tapped 3 times on the table. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe, because I finally understood something. It wanted acknowledgement, and fear was acknowledgement. Slowly, without looking at her hand, I stood up from the diner booth. "I'm sorry," I said loudly to the other customers. I just remembered I left my car running. Normal words, casual tone, no fear. The waitress leaned closer. Her breath was cold against my ear. "You can't ignore me forever." I placed cash on the table and walked toward the exit without looking back. No running, no panic. The bell above the diner door jingled as I stepped outside. The parking lot was full. People everywhere. Good. Noise was good. Connection was good. Isolation was its doorway. I got into my car and locked every door. My hands were shaking, but I refused to speak. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I turned it face down. The screen lit up repeatedly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Finally, it stopped, and then the radio turned on by itself. Static filled the car. Through the static, 3 slow knocks. I turned it off immediately. Silence. I exhaled carefully. "Think," I whispered to myself. "Think, Mr. Craven said it feeds on isolation. It moves through recognition. It spreads through invitation. That man in the hotel. It took him because he reacted. He screamed. He acknowledged it, which meant, it didn't just need me anymore. It needed attention, fear, focus, and it grew stronger each time someone gave it that." Suddenly my phone vibrated again. This time, a voicemail. I don't know why I opened it. But I did. There was no greeting, no breathing, just knocking. 3 times. Then my own voice played back to me. "Who's there?" My blood turned to ice. That recording was from the first night. From the house. It had recorded me, saved my voice, used it. Then another sound played in the voicemail. A door unlocking, and a whisper. "You already opened it." The message ended. I gripped the steering wheel tightly. "No," I muttered. "I didn't." But doubt crept in. That night at the house, I had touched the lock. I had turned it slightly. What if? No, I never fully opened it. Right. I drove back toward Willow Creek Road. I don't know why. Maybe to end it. Maybe because running clearly wasn't working. The closer I got to the forest, the quieter the world became. No traffic, no people, no lights. The house stood exactly as I left it. Dark, waiting. The front door was closed. But something was wrong. The porch light was on. I never turned it back on. I stepped out of the car slowly. The air felt heavy again. Like that first night. My phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Craven. Do not go inside. Too late. The porch boards creaked under my weight. I reached the door. 3 burn marks were still there. But now, there were 3 more, lower, as if something inside had knocked back. My hand hovered over the knob. Then I noticed something that made my stomach twist. The door wasn't fully shut. It was slightly open. Just an inch. Darkness inside. Breathing. Slow. Crackling. It didn't need me to open it. It had opened it itself. From the inside, a whisper drifted out. You came home. I stepped back immediately. No, I said firmly. You don't get to call it that. Silence. Then the whisper changed. Deeper. Layered. Multiple voices overlapping. You answered me. I spoke one sentence. I shouted. The trees behind the house began to rustle violently. No wind. Just movement. The voice grew louder. That is enough. The door slowly creaked open wider. Inside, the hallway looked wrong. Longer than before. Stretched. The walls looked charred. Blackened. And at the end of the hallway, a figure stood. Not burned now. Not pale. Just shadow. Shaped like a woman. But too tall. Head tilted at an unnatural angle. I was alone, it said softly. Like you. I clenched my fists. You're not lonely, I replied. You're hungry. The shadow twitched. The hallway seemed to pulse. You let me in. No, I said carefully. I acknowledged you. That's not the same. A pause. The air tightened. I forced myself to continue. You need permission. Real permission. Silence. The shadow flickered. You need someone to choose you. The trees went still. The hallway stopped stretching. For the first time, it hesitated. You're not feeding on loneliness, I said. You're feeding on rejection. The temperature dropped sharply. The shadow glitched. Like static. You knock. I continued, my voice steadier now. Because you were never invited anywhere. The figure jerked violently. The walls cracked. The voice deepened into something monstrous. I was burned. Yes, I said, but not because you were innocent. The shadow lunged forward slightly. I didn't move. You were already inside that house before Eleanor, I said. Before the fire. The whisper fractured. You were not hurt. For the first time, the figure screamed. Not in rage. In distortion. Its shape collapsed inward like smoke sucked into a vacuum. The hallway snapped back to normal length. The burn marks on the walls faded slightly. I stepped backward off the porch. You don't get invited, I said firmly. Not by me. Not by anyone. The front door slammed shut violently. The porch light exploded. Darkness swallowed the house. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then slowly, the house began to change. The wood aged rapidly before my eyes. Paint peeling. Boards rotting. Windows cracking. Like time was catching up all at once. The roof sagged. The walls collapsed inward. No fire. No smoke. Just decay. Within minutes, the house was nothing but a broken skeleton of wood. The forest went silent. Completely silent. My phone buzzed again. A message from Mr. Craven. It's weakening. I exhaled shakily. Not gone. I typed back. A pause. Then his reply. No. Behind me. From deep within the forest. 3 distant knocks echoed. Not on a door. On wood. Tree bark. Far away. Searching. I realized something chilling. It was no longer tied to the house. It was tied to the knocking. To the act itself. And somewhere in the dark woods, something was still knocking. Waiting for someone, anyone, to answer. My phone vibrated one final time. Unknown number. A single text. New door. I slowly turned. Across the road. In the darkness, a small cabin light flicked on. A place I had never noticed before. And at exactly 12:03 a.m., 3 knocks echoed from inside it.